Ever felt that deep, unsettling hum when everything is supposed to be quiet? A vibration that seems to come from nowhere, making the hairs on your arms stand up. You might think it's just your ears ringing, or the house settling. But what if it's something else? What if it's a sound that humans were never meant to hear? This is the story of the null tone. Our story begins in the 1970s, with a sound engineer named Arthur L. Bradford. Bradford was a master of his craft, known for his ability to capture the purest audio. But one day, while working in his studio, he encountered something that defied all logic. It was a frequency so low, so profound, that it didn't register on any of his state-of-the-art equipment. It wasn't recorded, it simply appeared. He described it as a deep, resonant vibration that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of the building. The walls trembled, the lights flickered, and a strange, palpable sense of dread filled the air. People in the studio suddenly felt overcome with an inexplicable sadness, some even bursting into tears without understanding why. Bradford, fascinated and disturbed, decided he had to capture it. He called it the null tone. Those who were present during these initial encounters reported terrifying experiences. They spoke of overwhelming panic and vivid waking nightmares. Several people described the distinct and horrifying sensation of a shadowy figure standing just behind them, always just out of sight, a cold presence that vanished the moment they turned around. At first, Bradford and his team tried to rationalize it. Could it be a deep resonance from underground machinery? Perhaps some secret military testing nearby? These were logical explanations, and they clung to them. Bradford managed to isolate and record a sample of this impossible sound, hoping analysis would provide a simple, scientific answer. But what he found was far from simple. When he looked at the waveform, his blood ran cold. The tone wasn't just extremely low, it was mathematically impossible. A normal sound wave oscillates above a 0 point, representing silence. But this wave, it showed negative symmetry. It was oscillating asterisk below asterisk 0, in a realm where sound, as we understand it, shouldn't exist. It was a void, a sonic black hole. It wasn't just the absence of sound, it was the presence of something asterisk, else, asterisk. That's when the real horror began. The studio, once a place of creativity, became a house of whispers. Bradford's assistants started hearing things faint. Disembodied voices chattering through speakers that weren't even plugged in. The static on dead channels seemed to form words. One of his most trusted assistants, a man named David, became convinced he was going mad. He swore he heard his own voice calling his name from inside the static hiss of the monitors. Not a recording of his voice, but his actual voice, present and clear, coming from a machine that was powered off. He quit shortly after, unable to shake the feeling that he was being haunted by his own echo. Another team member, a young woman named Sarah, had an even more chilling experience. She was working late one night, sitting in the control room and looking into the sound booth through the thick observation glass. In the reflection, she saw her own image staring back. But then, it moved. Her reflection smiled at her a wide, unnatural grin while her own face remained frozen in terror. She claimed that something was moving inside the reflection. Something that looked like her, but wasn't. She left the studio that night and never came back. The team dwindled as fear took hold. The null tone seemed to be alive, infecting the studio and the minds of those who heard it. Weeks later, Arthur Bradford himself disappeared without a trace. His car was still in the parking lot, his wallet on his desk. The only clue left behind was the final, cryptic entry in his research notebook. It read, "It's not a frequency, it's a doorway." For years, the story of the null tone and Arthur Bradford faded into obscurity, becoming just another forgotten tale whispered among audio engineers. The master tapes were lost, and the studio was eventually shut down. The doorway, it seemed, was closed. But then, in 1998, the story resurfaced. A dusty, anonymous cassette tape was found in an abandoned recording studio in Manchester, England. It was crudely labeled with just 3 characters, NT-3.7 Hz, NT the null tone. Those brave or foolish enough to play it reported immediate and severe physical reactions, intense nausea, splitting headaches, and a crushing wave of anxiety and paranoia. Word spread through niche online forums and underground music scenes. The tape was digitized, and for a short time, the sound was out there, on the internet, for anyone to find. Most of these files have since been deleted. The platforms they were hosted on took them down due to the disturbing reports from listeners. But some say fragments of the null tone still exist, hidden like digital ghosts. They're allegedly buried deep inside certain experimental electronic songs, layered beneath the music, or broadcast in the dead of night through illegal pirate radio stations. Their signals reaching out into the darkness. So, what is this sound? What is the null tone? The scientific community, or at least the few who have entertained the theory, offer some rational explanations. Some believe it's an infrasonic resonance, a frequency so low it's felt rather than heard, which directly interacts with the human nervous system and can induce feelings of fear and paranoia. It's a known phenomenon. Tigers use infrasound in their roars to momentarily paralyze their prey with fear. Others propose a more terrestrial origin. They think it could be a byproduct of the Earth itself, the planet's own deep, humming frequency, what some call the hum of the Earth, a natural, yet profoundly unsettling sound that we are not biologically equipped to process correctly. But then there are those who believe Bradford's final, chilling words. They believe the sound is something far older, something not of this world, something that uses vibration not to communicate, but to enter a key, unlocking a door that should have remained shut forever, a doorway from somewhere else. Maybe that's why, even now, in those moments of perfect silence, when you suddenly become aware of a low, persistent hum that seems to vibrate behind your ears, you should feel a shiver of fear. Maybe it's not just tinnitus, maybe it's not the house settling, maybe it's the frequency, still out there, still searching, trying to find you. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the unknown. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries from the shadows. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard a sound you couldn't explain. Until next time, listen closely.